Welcome back to a series of picking every game in the Big 12 this season. So far, we have Kansas State, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma State out of the way, meaning Texas is today on Locked On Baylor.
You are Locked On Baylor, your daily podcast on the Baylor Bears, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to Locked On Baylor. Drake Toll alongside Cameron Stewart, both of us from inside the Bears. We have covered Kansas State, a team I have going 10-2, Oklahoma State, a team I have at 9-3, and OU, a team I also have at 9-3 in yesterday's show. And coming into today, it is Texas, it's Iowa State, it's West Virginia. Cam's already told us Kansas State's finishing at 9-3 this football season and making their way to Arlington, maybe. He's giving us Oklahoma State at a disappointing 7-5. And those Oklahoma Sooners at 8-4. But Cam, without further ado, it's time for those Texas Longhorns and what they're going to produce in the 2022 football season. I went first yesterday, and so I'm going to go first again today. I'm going to give myself that today on this beautiful Tuesday. Cam, first game.
I am ready today. I wasn't ready yesterday.
You really weren't. The lack of preparation.
I just want the people to know.
You see that somebody commented about that on YouTube. Like, you got to get this guy off. You got to prepare more or something.
Of course, I always do.
It broke the internet yesterday's picks too. So game one, this is insane, you guys. ULM this weekend for Texas. It's a win, easy win. I'm talking Steve Sarkisian goes out and blows them out by 28. Just to get blown out by 28 themselves the very next week. Alabama coming to Austin. Buy a ticket if you haven't already. They are $1,700 just to see those Longhorns get absolutely shellacked by the number one team in the country. Alabama beats Texas. UT is number 24 in the AP poll, though, in week 2. I do predict that. They will see the AP poll this season, but not for long, because in week 3, all those Texas fans that have made it this far in the show, congratulations, and go pack it up and plant it in the comments section. UTSA comes into Austin. Jeff Traylor. Can you hear me right now? You hearing this? Jeff Traylor beats Texas.
Made on Friday nights.
UTSA comes into Austin and beats Texas. Here's why. I don't have to have a reason, but UTSA has been they have been really good. The last season, they were stellar, and it's a squad that's hungry for a big win. Texas will have just lost to Alabama. They want the revenge game. They get too emotional about it, which is Texas's MO the last few years. That one game comes around where you got to get up for it. They get up too much, and UTSA in Kansas fashion beats Texas. Those Longhorns now 1-2. Luckily, you get Texas Tech the next week. They haven't figured much out. Texas bounces back with a win where no one's watching. Fox Sports 1, 11 a.m. No one cares, and Texas wins. West Virginia comes to Austin. Quietly, Texas now has a winning record again. They're 3-2 after winning against West Virginia. To the Cotton Bowl against OU, that record evens. They lose to Oklahoma. Texas at 3-3. Then they get a pretty big win at home against Iowa State, a team who teeters in the Big 12. They're 4-3 in my schedule. This is the big one. They go to Oklahoma State in Stillwater, and those Texas Longhorns, scrappy at this point in the year, Quinn Ewers and company pull off the win against OSU. I've got Texas back above 500 at 4-3 after that win, 4-4, 5-3 after that win, and then Kansas State after a bye week, they're going to lose that game on the road in Manhattan. They're 5-4 before beating TCU, bowl eligible, 6-4. Congrats. Kansas on the road.
That's improvement.
They also win that one. They're going to win that ball game. So I've got Texas sitting at 7-4, playing the Baylor Bears at home. What do they have to play for? Nothing but the Alamo Bowl. They lose that ball game, and the Texas Longhorns, perennially 7-5, finish at 7-5, but an admirable 6-3 in Big 12 play, only losing to Baylor, Kansas State, and Oklahoma. Cam, what say you?
Wow. I noticed something, the most interesting thing about Texas' schedule. I looked at it on the ESPN app, and they've got a nice little thing on the ESPN app where it says, date, time, TV, and then tickets. Yeah. A little tickets tab. And it says tickets as low as whatever the lowest price is.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these games for UT, tickets as low as $4. Oh. Tickets as low as $26. Tickets as low as $5.
I can afford that.
$5.
I'm in college. I can afford that.
$5. Tickets as low as $5 and tickets as low as $5. What do all those things have in common?
They're under $20.
Correct. Actually, 30, 26 as well. They are all Texas Longhorn home games.
No way that's real. No way. $5.
Saturday, 9:10 versus number 1 Alabama. Tickets as low as $26.
No. Texas
That's
is
the brand.
biggest. They're the biggest brand in football.
Maybe just wait till they get to the SEC. Tickets will be as low as $11.
Yeah. Vanderbilt, Texas. Get your tickets now. They're $4.
Oh, Missouri, Texas. Bring back that Chase Daniel, Colt McCoy. Have them do the coin flip together. Except they're both still in the league, I think.
Yeah, you ever watch the documentary with the U documentary where they're giving away tickets in the Burger King meals? Is that Texas in 3 years in the SEC?
Yeah, probably. It's going to be the old Baylor story. 2 extras. You leave them in the windshield wiper of your car at Floyd Casey. You come back and there's 4 more. That's what it's going to be at DKR. Anyway, week 1, DKR, they're playing Louisiana Monroe. That's a victory. Week 2, we're going to say that is going to be an Alabama roll.
Bone crushing.
That's a tide rolling. UTSA. I was shocked that you picked a UTSA victory. But then again, I almost did, Drake. I had 2 of them flipped. I had a UTSA victory and then a UT victory a couple weeks later. I flipped them. I think UT pulls it off against UTSA. It's not easy, though.
Yeah.
Then Saturday, 9/24, that's September the 24th, they open up the Big 12 schedule at Texas Tech. You remarked that's going to be an 11 a.m. game, FS1. No one's going to be watching. I totally agree. And I think that's why the Red Raiders get the shock victory. The shock victory.
Kick them while they're down.
They almost did it the last time, if you'll remember. That was the wild 2 touchdowns in the last 2 minutes for UT. Joey McGuire, he's going to have all the ethos for that one. He's going to have them fired up. He's going to have the fans fired up. He's going to have the team fired up because they're going to be in a bad situation at that point, as we'll get into on tomorrow's show. And he's the master motivator. 11 a.m., he'll have his team ready. Don't think Sark will. And that's going to be just a stunning victory. It's going to be the premier victory. Everyone's going to be like, Texas Tech, Joey McGuire, make him sign an extension already. The rest of the season's not going to go as well, but they're going to beat Texas. UT, then host West Virginia. That's a win.
Yeah.
That's a win. They do win that
game.
They
needed that.
Versus Oklahoma in the Cotton Bowl.
They're just going back and forth at this point.
Sooner victory.
So
then
3-3.
They get on a little bit of a roll because they got Iowa State at home. And I think UT wins that one as well.
4-3.
At Oklahoma State. We already discussed this one yesterday.
We did. Yep.
So that's why it's going to be fun tomorrow. That is going to be a University of Texas victory and a signature one at that. Because
5-3.
I think OSU will still be in the rankings, but barely. UT will leapfrog and probably get a number back next to their name, the way we know how the media treats them. At Kansas State, no, sir. It's a program victory for the Wildcats versus TCU. They don't do it very well. They don't beat TCU a lot. They're going to this year.
6-4.
At Kansas. It's a victory. That's a victory.
7-4.
With nothing to play for on Black Friday, but a sense of pride on I-35, they lose to the Baylor Bears. Wow. Who some great fans of the show will be like, when you tiered the Baylor games this year on games they're going to lose, Cam, you said Baylor was going to lose to the University of Texas.
I remember that.
I did, but if you remember, I'll say there's no sure losses for Baylor, but I think that might be a slip up. If I was a betting man, I'm picking the Baylor Bears. And this one I'm switching to, like, this week's shows. I'm a betting man.
So Cam has Texas at 7-5. Drake has Texas at 7-5. I have them at 6-3 in conference play. You instead have them at 5-4 in conference play with an extra non-conference win. Cam at 7-5 Texas. So neither of us have a ton of confidence in the Longhorns this season. I think there's a lot of question marks. And I don't think Quinn Ewers will start every game this year. I do believe he'll start when the Baylor game rolls around. It's just going to be another tumultuous year without a great offensive line for UT. They're going to win a few big games. They're going to sneak up on an Oklahoma State, in my opinion. Both of us picked that same way. So I still see them at 7-5 and be happy with your 7-5. Take your Alamo Bowl or whatever that would be. Valero. That's the same thing as the Alamo Bowl. But that gives us the opportunity to jump into Iowa State, another team that I think could make some magic in the Big 12 while also losing games that you think, that was a bad football game to watch. First, though, I got to tell you about betonline.net. Betonline.net is amazing. Unbelievable. Impeccable. Fastest, easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. I did not have the best betonline.net weekend this last weekend because I didn't take my own betting advice from last week's show with Matt Isbear. If you don't know what I'm talking about, pre-plug, go watch it. BetOnline, though, it is set up to help you win. The lines are all there. The podcasts are there. It helps you make the best picks. BetOnline is one of the top online resources for all your sports wagering and information. That's a big thing, too. Information. Ton of information on BetOnline. Go check it out. BetOnline.net. It is where the game starts. BetOnline.net. Cam, Iowa State is a team this season that... So, okay, Cam, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Who's Iowa State's quarterback?
I don't know, sir.
Exactly. Bingo.
So, is he a lefty? I think he is.
I'll say yes, and I'll be lying.
I think he is. So. I think that's why I remember him.
Iowa State's first game is against Southeast Missouri. They're going to need it. They're going to win that ball game. Game 2 is against Iowa on the road. That's not going to go very well for the Iowa State.
They don't like
guys.
Winning those games.
Nope, they don't. They love to lose to Iowa. They're going to do it again this season. Kirk Ferentz, 1-1 Iowa State beats Ohio. O-H-I-O, the Ohio Bobcats. 2-1 Ohio State. They're going to play Baylor at home. Not a good Iowa State football team. They lose. Still good enough to beat Kansas. They're going to beat Kansas, be 3-3 on their year. That's actually 3-2 with losses to Iowa and Baylor, but they're going to lose to Kansas State to drop to 3-3. They're going to lose to Texas in the next week to be 3-4. That game on the road in Austin. They're going to lose at home to Oklahoma. 3-5. What do you have to play for? Well, West Virginia comes to town. You still want to make a bowl game, so you win that West Virginia game. It is a 4-5 Iowa State team. They're going to drop to Oklahoma State. They're now 4-6 after a game in Stillwater with 2 games left to go. They're going to win them. They're going to beat Texas Tech in Ames. They're going to go to TCU, win in Fort Worth, 6-6 Iowa State. I like this team to make a bowl this year. I don't like them to be very good. They're going to sneak up on a couple of folks, one of those folks being Kansas State. I picked, Cam, gosh dang it, 7-5. They're going to beat Kansas State, by the way. I forgot. I said yesterday. Yeah, all right. There's me not doing my notes. They're going to beat, Iowa State is going to beat Kansas State at home. That's what I called it yesterday.
I think we both had that.
Yeah, they're going to beat Kansas State at home. So 7-5 now for Iowa State this season.
Okay.
What's your Iowa State?
I didn't have that. I thought we both did. I didn't. Same kind of mentality. Kind of sneak up on some teams. SEMO win at Iowa. Sorry, Larry. That's a Hawkeye victory.
Yeah.
Versus Ohio, another win. Versus Baylor. It's probably a little more back and forth than we think because it's the first conference game. Baylor on the road. They would have had a road test by then. I think the Bears still win it.
Yeah.
At Kansas could get tricky, actually. Iowa State wins. Versus Kansas State. You're right. I have Iowa State winning that game.
Yeah, I think we both did yesterday.
Yes, I do. I do because they're not on my losses column. Kansas State's not on there.
Yeah.
Okay. At Texas. That's a loss. Versus Oklahoma. Victory. Victory.
Iowa State
yesterday.
Names we did.
Big. Still an upset. That's OU looking ahead to Baylor in that week. And then they beat West Virginia. They lose at Oklahoma State. A little revenge for the Pokes. They win against Texas Tech. Final game of the season. Already bowl eligible at TCU. They lose.
Oh.
They lose. A bit of a surprising one.
Yeah.
They're already there. They don't really care. Spoiler alert. I don't know. I won't totally spoil it for tomorrow, but I don't know if TCU has much to play for in that game either. It's 2 teams who aren't going to really care.
And TCU wins it. Like Thanksgiving weekend. Yeah. No one's there.
No one's there, of course, because it's a TCU home game. So playing an out-of-state team, no way. So it's going to be boring. I might be calling that game for ESPN Plus at that point. It might. Trying to spring trajectory continues to take off. But yes, TCU wins that game. So I got them at 7-5 as well.
7-5. Both of us have Iowa State. We both are thinking very alike, by the way, in this across the board.
Funny how that works. We spent so much time together.
5-4. So
wait till after that BYU trip. We'll be on the same cycle.
No. Of Peloton. Yep. We're gonna share Pelotons. Share Pelotons. Iowa State 7-5, both of our books. The last team on today's show then is West Virginia and the Mountaineers, what they're going to put together. So the point of this series is to give Baylor fans a look into the rest of the Big 12 and how well these teams are going to play. West Virginia has two of the more intriguing non-conference games on anybody's schedule. And this is when I went through all these games, I was super intrigued by the lack of good non-conference games. Very surprised, actually, that there just aren't very many. West Virginia plays a couple of those. Pitt, that game on a Thursday at Pitt to open up college football season this week is a win for West Virginia. They beat Kansas the next week. They beat Towson. West Virginia's 3-0. Folks start kind of murmuring.
I didn't know Towson had football, to be honest with you.
They're really good at the FCS level a few years ago. They're not anymore. The people start murmuring, okay, West Virginia might not be bad, 3-0. So they get Virginia Tech on a Thursday, another Thursday game. Everybody's like, oh, shoot, Mountain Mama. Let's watch this game where they lose. That one gets at Virginia Tech in Blacksburg, packed house. One of those random Thursday games, you're like, I'll watch it. And they lose.
They basically put it on Thursday national TV because they play Enter Sandman. Like that's it. And they're like, let's watch this. It's Texas, cool. They play a song. They don't come out on the beat.
Texas and Austin. That game's a loss. 3-2 now for West Virginia. No one's talking about them until they beat the Baylor Bears after a bye week. It's a Thursday game. Baylor loses in Morgantown. The streak continues, and Baylor fans rack their brain endlessly, wondering how this could have happened to the beloved Bears who just lost in Morgantown. And that sparks a little run for the West Virginia Mountaineers, who beat Texas Tech on the road. They beat TCU at home. Wouldn't you know, after dropping 2 straight, they've won 3 straight. They're 6-2, playing Iowa State on the road. And this 6-2 team finishes 6-6. They lose to Iowa State on the road. They lose to Oklahoma at home. They lose to Kansas State at home, and they go on the road to lose at Oklahoma State. 6-6 West Virginia fires Neil Brown. They are 4-5 to end their season, but their marquee win, it doesn't make any sense, but they beat the Baylor Bears at home. Cam, what say you?
That is the most surprising one that you had. Them beating Baylor, but you kind of blew past one that I think is pretty surprising. Week 1 at Pitt.
Yeah, it's a huge win.
At ranked Pitt, a playoff team, by the way. If you ask certain Heisman Trophy winners, Desmond Howard has them as a playoff team, Drake.
Yeah, and Baylor.
That's not doing anything for you. Yeah. At Pitt, that's a Panther victory in the backyard brawl. Sorry, it just is. You can sing Eat Fecal Matter Pitt as much as you want. Not going to work. Versus Kansas, that's a win. It's probably easier than the game the next week, which is against Towson, which is also a win. At Virginia Tech, that's a win for the Mountaineers. Virginia Tech's bad. I don't know if you know that. Virginia Tech's bad.
Baylor almost hired their coach. So
West Virginia, also not that good. But better. And I think, again, talking Neil Brown hot seat, needs to kind of get a good start here.
Mountain
At Texas, loss. Versus Baylor at home Thursday night. You mentioned it. Bears have never won in Motown.
No, they haven't.
Until now, Drake. Until now.
All right.
If they don't win this game, that's a bad omen for the rest of the season. I don't care how they start. If they lose at West Virginia, all bets are off for the rest of the season. It's one of those ones where you don't feel confident. Like, you know, that doesn't mean you're not a fan. That doesn't mean you don't think they'll be good, but you don't feel confident in any game the rest of the season. And it's absolutely white knuckling for 2 months. But Baylor does win. At Texas Tech, West Virginia wins that. They do. They're too good. At Iowa State, no. Hostile environment. Iowa State needs those wins where they can get them. Cyclones win it. West Virginia against Oklahoma at home. Sooner victory pretty comfortably. Versus Kansas State. I already mentioned it on yesterday's show. That's a bogey game for Kansas State. They're down in the dumps. West Virginia needs those wins. They're at home. It's early. They beat the Wildcats. Rounded out by losing to Oklahoma State. But that's not their last game of the season, Drake, because I got them at 6-6.
Yeah.
Going off of that, right? Yes, 6-6. So that's a bowl game. They still fire Neil Brown. They bring in PJ Fleck because why not? And he does the Matt Rule. He's on the broadcast during the game. He's all fired up, but their beloved defensive coordinator is coaching them. And they beat someone like, I don't know, Miami in a bowl game because Miami's going to stink too because that's what they always do. And they beat them in the Cactus Bowl or whatever the equivalent is now because I don't think they have the Cactus Bowl. Anyway, 7-6 for West Virginia. I'm just going to throw them that bone at the end of the season.
You gave a bone in the bowl game, but you and I both have West Virginia at 6-6 in the regular season. So for me, it is Texas at 7-5, 6-3 in Big 12 play. Iowa State finishes at 7-5, 5-4 in Big 12 play, and then West Virginia, Mountain Mama, 6-6 on their season, 4-5 in Big 12 play for the guys from Morgantown with a win against Baylor. Marquee, hang their hat on that, huh? You don't like that, do you?
I don't. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But Drake, I mean, we technically don't have our Arlington teams yet, for sure.
We don't. No,
we
don't.
have Texas Tech on the docket tomorrow and TCU.
Yeah. So what could happen in that one? I'm Drake Toll. It's Cameron Stewart. When we come back tomorrow, all that remains is Texas Tech, TCU, and Kansas. Will any of those three teams make a shockwave in the Big 12, pull something off, win a few games, and make their way to Arlington? And then on Thursday, we pick every game, all 12 of the Baylor Bears schedule, and explain why we pick each game the way we pick them. This has been, always will be, thank you for making Locked On Baylor your first listen every single day. Locked On Baylor.